G'day and welcome to the Hunting Connection podcast. My name is Zach Williams and I am your host. Here we'll connect you with hunters, fishers and outdoor enthusiasts from around the globe. This podcast will share hunting and fishing stories including past experiences and tackle the tough hunting stereotypes our community faces. We hope to be a positive influence to those outside the community while also having a laugh along the way. Hope you enjoy the podcast. G'day and welcome to another episode of Hunting Connection podcast. On today's episode, we've actually got a in-person guest for the first time in God knows how long. We've got Hayden, aka Haydog. For those that have listened to the Senate Mate podcast, they would have heard him referenced a couple of times on there, and if they're a long-time listener, a few seasons back, they would have actually heard him on there. How you doing?
I'm doing well, thanks.
That's good, man. What's been going on?
Oh, just keeping busy. Big weekend, like usual.
That's good.
Always flat knackers.
Do some fox shooting this weekend, did I see? Or was that...
No, that was from my last trip down the southeast.
Yeah, beautiful. Nice. It looked like a nice big red dog.
Oh, there's plenty of them. Coming back, there's probably about 14 just big dead on the side of the road. So they're obviously coming back to plague proportions. So it's kind of a good thing for us fox shooters, but not so great for farmers.
Yeah, I went out for a deer stalk the other weekend and I seen probably five foxes. And they were just going in and out of the long grass, and didn't bug it if I could get a shot on them. But yeah, there was definitely some big healthy ones.
Well, funnily enough, like we'd obviously gone out for deer, and not one of us saw anything this weekend. But they were cutting a lot of firewood for the farm, and then they'd also moved all the stock just recently. So it takes a couple of days before they start to make movement in those paddocks again. So we just thought, we'll just go for a drive and just see what's around, because quite often you bump stuff and it just runs across the road in the car, but at least you know, there's something around here. But I saw a weird movement up in front of the car because it was like right on just as it was going dark. So I'm like, I don't know. It looked like my missus said, it looked like rabbits. I'm like, nah, it was moving more like a fox. So I got one of the little sambar stalker whistles.
Yep.
And just put the window down, gave it a quick blast and saw 3 sets of eyes.
Yeah, beautiful.
Turned the headlights off and another blast, and before I know it, they're right up at the car.
Yeah, they seem to be all right. I got one of those whistles the other day from Gundog Gear, and they sound all right. So I'm keen to get to Samba country and see how they go.
They make some good sounds. A couple of the boys reckon take the rubber ring off of them.
Okay,
because they're easier. But I haven't had issues with mine, so
I
guess it's preferential to yourself.
Yeah, I watched a video on them the other day, and I was pretty much mimicking the calls he was doing with them. So they don't seem too hard anyway.
Mine just make my dogs go ape shit, and I'm like, well, if it'll call my dog, then I'm sure it'll work with a fox.
Oh, 100%.
That kind of proved it.
So, where are you from?
Originally born and raised mid-north, so Balaclava and Owen.
Yeah, beautiful.
I've just recently moved to Murray Bridge, so kind of opposite direction.
How are you finding the Ridgy-Didge?
It's good. It's a thriving country town, so it's getting bigger.
Yeah.
And, we're getting the more chain stores there and whatnot, but it's not like Mount Barker where it's now you live in gutter to gutter with a bunch of city people that want the country lifestyle.
Life, but exactly.
No, it's still far enough away that you're in country, so it's good.
Typical you move there and the gun shop closes though. Yeah,
look, I reckon I cleared out every different Hornady size that he had over the 2 or 3 months towards his closing, because his prices were so cheap. And I was telling him, I'm like, look, you could put these online for about $45 more a box and you'll sell them like hotcakes. He's like, I know what I paid for them. I'm still making money on that, and it'd feel wrong. And it's like, well, what's the go with all these big chain stores that have these crazy prices then? It's like if in the middle of it all he can still do these cheap prices, it's like, why can't anyone else?
They're open and he's not.
That's a fair point.
But at least it's not too far of a drive to your closest gun shop down at Mount Barker there.
Oh yeah, well, funnily enough, I didn't even know they were there. I happened to be doing a job there at the car park by the council, and then my missus had broke the lid on a Yeti drink bottle, and I saw the big sign out the front, so I'm like, I'm going and get a drink bottle lid, and then walk in, first thing I see is a massive sign that says firearms, and I'm like, gotta go have a look.
No, Cam in there does a good job of running the stuff. He used to be my assistant manager at BCF in Mount Barker in that homemaker centre there. Oh, yeah. So him and another Cam he still works in there. Another Cam that I worked with at BCF, he was running the things in there beforehand. But yeah, it's a nice little shop. Keen to see the new store though.
Yeah, look, I almost bit the bullet and bought a 357 Marlin while I was there, but I don't have a need for it. It was just cool and shiny, and I'm a bit like a magpie when it comes to stuff like that. It's like, it'd be nice, but I really just don't need it.
Of course you do.
I do. Yeah.
So you just mentioned, what do you do for work?
Some electrician.
Yep.
Predominantly been industrial work, so doing lots of FIFO and Dido work in mining, but finally come back and done a bit more commercial. So just putting in EV chargers at councils, and that's given me work kind of all over.
Yeah, beautiful.
But keeps me busy. It's always interesting doing commercial industrial. Like domestic quite often gets repetitive because it's just, replacing a light switch or a power point or putting up down lights, or people that do a brand new build and don't want to go with the upgraded package. So then you're just upgrading all the stuff that should have been done right the first
From
time.
the start, yeah.
But no, it's all right. Industrial is good. Like these EV chargers are just very different. Like it's just it's its own niche work. But I've just come back from doing FIFO to start my own business. So I'm currently subcontracting and then getting into industrial agricultural work.
Yeah, beautiful.
So that's like doing pivot wiring and all the irrigation systems. So it's a very niche, but that's why it's good to be rural, because that's where the work is.
That's good. And you're pretty centered for where you are doing that anyway.
Yeah, it's not a bad spot, and it's still close to where we hunt. So it's it's convenient for that too.
It's good, and I'll be able to hit you up over the summer months, and you can come out and finally smash some of those carp with me in those backwaters.
Been talking about it for about 2 years.
Yeah, I know.
Still haven't made it happen. But
well, we had COVID and floods, and
me not being in SA for about a year.
And then every time that I go up there, you're busy.
Or you're coming up and I'm heading down. It's always the wrong situations, but. That's life.
We'll make it work, and we'll get you out there behind the bow smashing some mud marlin.
I love the good old mud marlin.
It's good fun. You'll absolutely throw on it.
I've caught plenty. The best fishing rod I have for catching mud marlin is, we went to Love Day 4x4 Park and I forgot to throw a rod in because I did a Space Cadet move. So went into Redmark, went to Big W and bought a $12 Kids Jarvis Walker reel.
Yeah.
And I threw some nice quality braid on it that was worth about 10 times a rod. And I take that everywhere because it's just this like 1.5 kilo rod. It's so flimsy, but you get a fight out of a 500 gram fish, and it's actually a fight. So I've caught more fish on that than I have on my expensive rods because it comes with me everywhere.
Nothing's better than shooting him in the face with an arrow, though. It's so much better than catching him on a rod.
Yeah, well, I need to experience it.
So speaking of, how did you get into hunting and fishing?
Well, specifically into hunting, it would be through Batesy, so the human Dorito, because he had his block in Cherryville, and I was pretty much up there doing odd block work with him whenever I had free time, and he got me out in his 22 precision trainer, and kind of fell in love with shooting, and then we started shooting rabbits and foxes from there. And
how long ago was that?
That would have been late 2019.
Okay, so you're relatively new to hunting then.
Yeah, and then dove in it and dumped all my spare change into guns and bits and pieces, but.
That's what we like to hear.
Yeah, it's good fun. It's addictive, but.
So your first animals were foxes and rabbits?
First were rabbits.
Yep.
Yeah, we shot lots of rabbits up there.
Yeah, beautiful.
But that's good fun because a lot of properties these days they're not around anymore.
Nah, none of my properties, they're all pretty much gone. There's more hares than rabbits.
We have hundreds at my house in Murray Bridge. So we got 80 acres in Murray Bridge East, like so just the other side of the road bridge, and. Yeah, there's just every night you go outside, just a little torch, and they're everywhere. But I got a Kelpie that kind of likes to kill them himself. So, he's dwindled the numbers down around the house, but you go out the back in the scrub and they're everywhere.
Yeah.
Like middle of the day, just on the trot.
Yeah, there's heaps out there. I go bow fishing towards that way, and there's definitely plenty. And you see like lots with markings all over their face, little white crescent moons and all sorts of stuff. There's some cool patterns out there.
Yeah, genetically modified.
Yeah, definitely. They have to be from the bridge.
Oh yeah, there's something in the water up there for sure.
So what was your first rifle?
CZ 455 22.
Yeah, cool.
Yeah, great.
Still got it?
Yep. I don't reckon I'll ever get rid of that because it's just accurate. You can shoot 22 shells with it at 50 meters. And
what other rifles you running?
So we'll go in order. I got a 177 air rifle, Diana Model 36. Yep. The CZ22, a 22 BLR, 2-3 Ackley Rem 700, 2-3 Typin, 308 Bagara, 300 Ticker, Adler 12 gauge 20 inch, and my Beretta 687.
Beautiful. And what's your main deer stalking rifle there?
If I had to just grab one that I was going to take, 308.
Yeah.
It just works. Like, out of all my rifles, I haven't really messed with it. I've got a load that works for it, had a scope that works for it, and it's just set up, so I don't mess with it.
And are you reloading basically every one of those?
Yep.
Those centerfire rifles?
Yeah, all my centerfires I reload for.
And how do you find that? I
was having issues with the 223 AI, which we're chasing a tail with for a bit, but just turned out to be a dud scope. Okay. So I've since thrown a new scope on that, and last weekend I was out and I was, just shooting everything with it, left, right, and center. Shot that fox with it. It's finally working, which is great because I've put a stupid amount of money in it, and before I touched it, it would shoot a 5-cent piece at 100 meters every day of the week. But that would only shoot because it was a 1 in 12 twist, so it was limited to 55 grain. But now I can shoot 75s through it. So
yeah, awesome.
Yeah, as much as it'll upset a lot of people because apparently they bounce off of birds. But that'll be my deer killing rig because they work. Most of the guys use 2D3s in our hunting group because they work.
Yeah. Yeah, so it all depends on where you are on what the deer recommended calibers are. Here we don't have any legally recommended calibers, so
yeah, it's more about what you're confident with making the ethical shot.
Which
my first deer I shot was with my 223 with a 55 grain pill, and it fell over in less than 4 meters because it's all about shot placement.
Yeah,
obviously
exactly.
I'm not going to take that shot at say 600 or 700 meters.
Yeah,
but there's got to be some onus on yourself to take the ethical kill. So it's, if I saw something that was out of the kill range of that, well, you either make distance, or if someone else has got a bigger rifle, then they take the shot, or you take the shot with that, or you just have to leave it.
Yeah, exactly. It all comes down on the shooter as well. So the rifle is only as good as the shooter behind it. So
there's plenty of people that don't realise how far a factory rifle can shoot as well. It's usually the idiot behind the trigger that's the limitation for most rifles, because at the end of the day, it's a metal pipe that they just work. Like it's the idiot behind it.
Exactly. Being a relatively new hunter and shooter, what would be your top beginner tip for someone getting into hunting these days in Australia?
Well, it's going to sound contradictory because this is going to end up on the internet, but don't listen to everything on the internet because you'll go down so many of the wrong rabbit holes. The best advice I'd give is just find some people that you can go out with and test out their gear, see what they're running, and then make the decisions on your big purchases. Because I kind of went backwards with it. I spent a lot of money on guns and equipment and things that I've since sold or upgraded and all sorts. So I could have saved a lot of money not going the roundabout method and putting it in the right places.
Yeah.
So yeah, that would be go out, use other people's things. And to get out for the first time, you don't need camo and you don't need all this fancy gear. Supposedly deer only see like bright blues. So just
UV lights.
Go flat colours, and then pretty well everyone's got a backpack you can use, just a pair of sneakers. Yeah, look, you're going to get wet, but if you're going out for your first time, you're probably not doing hundreds of thousands of Ks. So just kind of rough it your first trip, but just take some basics and then work out quickly what you want to change.
Yeah, no, exactly. No, that's good. What about top 5 beginner items for someone getting in? If you could go back to the start and just pick five basic items, what would you get just to start out?
Do you want specific brands and things, or just like general categories?
Well, general categories of those 5 items, but then jump into what you're running in those.
All right, so my big number one would be binos, because I ran cheap binos. I ended up getting a set through Cleavers for free. Like one of the add to cart orders, it was $0, so I had to set a little Bushnell 8x40s, and they were dreadful.
Terrible, yeah.
But I'd rather have dreadful binos than no binos,
yeah.
Because there's been times when I take my missus out and she'll take my new, I got Diamondback 10x42s now, and she'll often take them, and then I'll sit there playing with the old ones. It's like I'd rather be looking through something than nothing. But quality binos, you can run yourself a good set like the Diamondbacks, about $400, and you will hunt with them for years.
Yeah, exactly.
And then again, you got lifetime warranty with Vortex and whatnot. So it's not a bad buy, but definitely binos up first. Quality boots.
Yeah,
because that's the next thing. Yeah, but you can deal with getting wet feet every now and then. But when you do start doing some Ks, you'll know about it quick. So you want good boots, a pack. But again, you can get away with just a basic backpack, but something to carry your gear in. A decent knife, like you can get things like the Opti hunting knives or F-Dicks or whatever you want to call them. They're like $20 a piece, and just one of those when it's sharp, you can do a whole deer with it.
They're good, but you need a pouch to carry them in. That's That's the one thing.
No, it comes with a sticker that says not to be operated by fuckwits. So you just got to take that with a pinch of salt and not cut yourself with it. Like me, as everyone probably does, you pull it out. I cut myself with it in the kitchen within about 2 seconds of picking it up because I'm like, I wonder how sharp this is. Oh,
Yeah,
it's sharp.
You don't want that loose in your bag. I've had a couple of glues and stitches, a couple of loose knives in the hunting pack. So
Yeah,
you want a good knife roll or something with them.
Yeah, I think mine were about 150 for the roll with the steel, the ball knife, everything. But I wish I bought that earlier because I ended up getting another known knife from the hype of the internet again, and that was over $200 I could have put elsewhere because it's like it looks cool, but it's not what it's made out to be.
Those ball knives are the best when it comes to skinning.
Oh, I did most of that fox with it, surprisingly, because it's by the time you've split down the legs and I did the stick method with the tail, it's like the rest of it you can pretty much just peel off.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, no, they're quality knives, that's for sure.
I think that was only 4 items. Number 5 would be water storage because anyone that knows anything about Australia, you don't go anywhere without water.
What? Are you running a camel pack or are you running like a bladder or a drink bottle?
I got a 3.5 litre bladder.
Yeah.
And I have multiple of the different kidney bottles and the bigger rectangular plastic army bottles.
Yeah.
So it depends on how far we're going and what time of year it is. Because if it's middle of winter, I usually just throw a 1 litre kidney bottle in. But if it's middle of summer, it's, high 30s and low 40s, it'll be the 2 litre. Because, worst case, every paddock we're in has got a trough. So you won't walk more than about 2 k's in each direction and you can get drinkable water. But, you don't want to be drinking out of troughs. Because
Southeast during the winter, though, is pretty moist, so there's water everywhere.
It's not bad. But I still carry plenty of water because I'm also immune compromised. I'm diabetic.
Yeah.
So I like to make sure I'm good on that aspect because there's times where I'll drink litres and litres in a day. So
I'm sure there'll be some good stories coming out later in the podcast about that have been told on other podcasts.
It depends which of the stories we've heard.
What about your pack? What are you running pack wise?
So I got the Spiker 60 litre pack. So got a really good deal on that. And I've been running one of Josh's old packs in the army that's gone through. I think Caleb had it, then Ryan had it, then it got back to Josh, and then I got it. And it was completely clean when I got it, surprisingly. And all it took was one trip when I got my first deer, and now it's covered in blood.
Yeah.
And it's stained in as like a nice brown camo now. So I'm like, oh well, just leave it as is. But no, I got a good deal on that. So I upgraded the Spiker pack, and it's so comfortable because it just the old pack was it worked.
Was it one of those old square army packs with no support in them, or?
Oh no, I had a frame, but it's one of the ones that you don't just adjust. It's one you're meant to take out and put the right frame piece in. It's obviously one that's designed for a short Dorito, so it doesn't exactly fit someone my size. Yeah. So, but hey, I made it work. And then
you're at least 2.5 Joshes higher.
Yeah, something like that. I'm sure I'll get a comment. Oh yeah, but look at my arms.
Classic. What else are you carrying in your bag while you're out?
Oh, so I take my full knife roll with me because on the property we hunt, you're not really walking more than about 6 k's in any direction. So I don't mind having a bit of weight in it, and it kind of makes because it's kind of a cylindrical pack. So by having that up one half of my pack, it kind of gives it a more rigid support on the back. So if I'm carrying out a deer and it's on the actual pack itself, it kind of just has more like rigidness to it. Yeah. I throw in a Couchy. I got a puffy that's like the size of a pillow. Just one like I don't know what breed they are, but one of the little puffies that folds up to a pillow. Heaps of snacks. I've always got protein bars, muesli bars, lollies, all that sort of gear because that's kind of a requirement for someone like myself.
Yep. Part of being diabetic.
Usually got a head torch, my waistband, a couple of spare knives, and then one of the Work Smart knife sharpeners, I think they are. They're like a multi-sided. They're yellow and black. They're not bad. But
awesome.
It's kind of become obsolete now that I've got the steel in this set.
Yeah, there's
the optic knives. So, but I haven't taken it out because it's there with another knife. Because I've got that many knives in there. It's not funny because it's one of those things that once you get there, if you start blunting and whatnot, you just want to keep going. So, I've always got sharp knives. They're always sharpened before I go out. I was trying to think what else. Oh yeah, dunny roll, lighter.
That's important, dunny roll.
And then Bates, he actually bought, like Dorito, he bought these little hooks. You can throw a loop over a tree, put this hook through it, and it's kind of like a one-way pulley. So you can pull your paracord through it, tie a deer to it, make a makeshift gambrel, and then pull it up in a tree. So if you're going to do it out there, then yeah, you can get away with that. So I carry that. That thing weighs like, I don't know, probably 10 grams. So light.
Yeah, cool. Well, you'll have to send us a photo of that one. I don't think I've seen that one. But yeah, I carry a plastic gambrel with me, and that works a treat. Some decent bit of rope, because most places I'm hunting are big gum trees. Yep. You have to launch them a fair way up before you can start.
Yeah, I've seen some funny videos of people throwing drink bottles and all sorts and getting them lobbed up in the tree, and you've just stuck your $40 Nalgene bottle up there and it's going for a climb.
What about rangefinder? What are you running rangefinder-wise?
Oh, I'm a bit of a tight ass when it comes to some things. So I was always hunting with Batesy, so he had his Vortex LRF, and then I ended up buying a Bob Love while I was drinking with the Sasquatch one night. So that's a $97 wish.com special. And then I put it up against a few of the other boys' rangefinders. It's within like 1 or 2 yards over 800 metres.
Bloody sassy.
So they work great. And funnily enough, he's bought one now as well. So they do work great. I haven't charged it since I bought it, which was, for about 18 months or 2 years ago.
A chargeable one. Yeah. So no battery. That's handy. Yeah,
they're on the 18650s or whatever they are, which you can also put a triple double A's or triple A's or whatever they are. It's got the cage for it as well, but I don't carry that with me. It's at home in a drawer somewhere. Because, it doesn't need it. It's been, nearly 2 years and I've never charged it. Charged it when I first got it, but... You're
not getting out enough?
No, it gets used every time I'm out, and it has all these other settings. So it's got like a golf mode, and then you can use it as a like speed camera as well. Yeah. So like the first day I got it, I sat outside for like half an hour. Every car that come down the street, it's like, oh yeah, they're doing this speed, and then someone's flying down the street. It's like, oh yeah, they're going pretty quick. But yeah, it's not bad. It's got like the speed detector in it and all sorts of other stuff that you just don't need in an LRF. But
you can see how fast the deer are cruising around when.
Pretty much. Try and catch one of the bullets coming out again. Who needs a what are they? The speed raiders, lab radar. You don't need a lab radar. Just use a Bob Love. Good luck finding the bullet.
What about zombie apocalypse weapon? What are you running?
Well, I've got a massive chainsaw. I've got a 30-inch bar and an old Magnum chainsaw, so probably that. But I've seen the episode of Mythbusters where they tested it, and they were saying to use like a massive battle axe. So if I was going to go make a weapon, I'd probably make some sort of forged battle axe. But what I've got right now, it'd be my big chainsaw.
That'd work.
Yeah, I'd make a skin suit face out of a zombie's flesh.
Speaking of, have you seen the new Twisted Metal?
I have not.
No, I started watching that today.
I saw the trailer for it, and I'm like, this looks pretty good, but...
I got about 15, 20 minutes into it this morning, and I'm just like, oh, man, just watching it's bringing childhood memories back from playing the game as a kid.
Pretty wild.
Oh, it's so good. Did you ever play the game? No. Oh.
I was too busy playing Hit and Run.
Nah, it was so good.
And NFS Underground too.
Yeah, this is before those games. This is PlayStation 1.
Just,
you're a bit younger, so...
I was going to say, I'm only just turned 25, just for the listeners, because, I'm a bit of a young guy. I'm an old soul.
Yeah. So, what have you forgotten on a hunting trip?
What have I forgotten? Probably the missus. I left her at home a few times, and I seem to hear about that for the preceding week.
What about gear-wise?
No, the worst. I've left my bolt and my mag home for it was only the 22, which we just shoot around at camp, but it's still annoying. But other than that, I've got lists. Just tick the same list off every time.
Is it like a physical list on your phone or printed list?
It's a paper list, and each time I just put a different coloured text line through it. So it's pretty filth, but these days you don't really need to look at it because I've got range cases, and it's like what goes in here, and then you check and double check you got bolts and mags. It's like, all right, I'm not making that mistake again. And then my fridge and all my 12-volt gear is permanently attached to my ute. So
yeah, beautiful.
All that sort of thing's fine. And then my pack's always packed ready to go. It's just fill it up with water and head out with new snacks. But that's why I run snacks that last forever. Because, you can throw some muesli bars in. We'll buy more for the next trip, which is to go in the camp box, and I'll rotate them out. Like, oh yeah, I'll just eat these ones first because they're older, and go from there.
Perfect. What's the most important item you take out when you...
Probably my insulin pump. I'm not getting far without that.
Yeah.
But no, it'd have to be a rifle because I'm not much of a bow hunter. I've got the old Martin Jaguar, but I'm not much of a shot past about 25, 30 metres with that thing. So
the old Jaguar's good. I've got the Martin Jaguar and the recurve just there, sitting on the wall.
Very nice. I like that the risers are completely interchangeable for them.
Yeah, no, they're good. They're killer bows.
Yeah, mine has supposedly killed a lot of pigs. I got it gifted to me for my 21st.
Yeah, sweet.
Yeah, been used for many years, but still works.
Have you got anything with it yet?
I shot a few rabbits, but they're all close range because, just leave the headlights of the car and they sit there stunned and you can walk within about 5-10 metres of them and boom.
Yeah, beautiful. No long stalks like Sasquatch on game.
And still misses. Jumping fence and running through creeks and there's still nothing there. Shooting cat stumps.
Crazy bastard. What about the most sketchy, dangerous thing that's happened to you while you've been out?
Sketchy, dangerous. Not a lot. Just hunting with pointer. It's always going to be a questionable time as to what's going on.
There's been a few of those stories on here.
Oh, look, Sassy always gets pretty fired up, like the trip where he was chasing after deer as I've watched them disappearing into the sun about 2 k's behind us, and he's running the opposite direction over fences and smashing his knees up and all sorts. That's questionable, but it's not really dangerous. It's just sketchy because that's him. But hey, once you got your mind onto it, he's going.
For anyone that doesn't know who these names are, Poiter, Sassy, Dorito, jump onto the earlier episodes of Send It Mate podcast, and if you start listening from the start, you'll get a good idea of who all of these people are and how Haydog ties in. And the earlier episodes of this podcast, you got Rich and a bunch of the other guys. So
we're just one big, tight-knit, happy hunting family.
Yeah, exactly. Just slowly building the hunting community in South Australia bigger and better.
Well, SA is small enough as it is, let alone SA hunting community. So it's hard not to just like bump into other people. So yeah, that's where those people come from. They're all other good mates of the channel.
Yeah, we've all built a community around it. The Send It Mate guys started it off, and they had me on the podcast, they had Haydog on the podcast, and a bunch of the other guys that we've mentioned. They've either been hosts on the podcast or guests on the podcast, and the community is just growing and growing.
Yeah, it's good to see. It's putting different people's ideas and opinions to light, and there are more and more people that don't hunt or don't really know about hunting that are getting onto it. Some people get discouraged from it because sometimes we sound a bit rough, but then other people listen into it and go, oh, there's actually normal, real hardworking people in behind hunters. It's not just a bunch of gun crazy people.
So a question that I get quite a bit through Instagram from SA-based guys. Are you a member of the ADA in the Southeast? Yep. Can you give a rundown on what is involved joining the ADA? What do you have to do? There's different points and different hunts and counts and stuff you have to do. Can you give a rundown on that? So
this is my first year as a point securing member, so I can't hunt any of the properties this year. I can only gain points. So I signed up at the very start of the year. You just go on the website, select your branch, pay your money, wait for confirmation. The confirmation email can take a fair while. It's a slow process. It can take 5 or 6 weeks before you get that. And then you need to acquire a minimum of 4 points to be able to hunt the following season. Yep. Plus your hunting, I think it's about $350 for your hunting fee. So you pay that, you make your points, and then you can hunt select properties. So the ADA either leases different properties, they own 1 or 2 properties, I believe, and you've got access to them depending on what level of a member you are. Yep. And that's based on how many years you've been there and making sure you get your points. But once you've got your points and you can hunt, you need to get your compulsories before you can go for anything like a trophy. So you got to show a required doe and fawn each year and present the jawbones to be assessed. Okay. And that's just to manage numbers then? Yeah. That's to fall in line with their management plans and whatnot that they have to conform to. And what's the point system? Like, what do you have to do to get points? So you got different working bees and other things as part of their management plan. So for instance, we've got deer counts. Yep. So you go out for a deer count, you get a point, and then after you've done the count, you have to go to a meeting so that we can bring all their numbers back and then just discuss general things. There's usually 4 of those a year. What goes into a deer count through the ADA? In what regards? Like what do you do on a deer count? So you get up there the night before, set off before first light, head out to different paddocks. Like there's hundreds of guys all split up in different blocks and different sections, and you're just going out with a piece of paper and a small group, and you're literally just counting deer numbers. So you're counting for different species your trophy animals.
Are you tallying it on a piece of paper?
Yeah, you got a clipboard and a piece of paper.
Okay,
So then you're looking for, I think there's one that's coal heads, but then you've got fawns, does, and then spikies as well.
Okay.
So it's just to try and work out what sort of numbers they got there, because obviously they want to get rid of the worst of the herd, because they're trying to, as much as they're trying to manage and control, they're obviously also wanting to make the nicest animals they can.
Yeah.
And then, then once you got your numbers, you'll come back, have a meeting, present all the numbers, work out what we've got, and then decide whether or not we need to do a cull shoot for managing those numbers.
Yeah. So do you get like a point for a deer count or 2 points?
Yep. So you get 1 point for the count, 1 point for the meeting.
Yep.
And there's 4 of those a year. So to be able to get your points for the year, you pretty much go to 2 counts and you're covered.
Okay. And how many points do you need to hit a trophy?
I believe it's 7 or 8.
Okay.
I think it's gone up by 1. I think it was 3 and 7 last year, and it's now 4 and 8.
Yeah.
Or as in for this year, for next year's hunting. So you earn your points in 1 year and you hunt the year after.
Do you burn points like every hunt you go on, or?
I don't believe so.
No?
I believe it's just a threshold you have to meet to be able to get for that.
Yeah, so once you get those, you can
then
shoot.
It pretty much unlocks your perks to be able to hunt whatever's in that category.
Because I've heard the Senate Mate boys talk a lot about it, but I haven't heard them go into specific details in what's actually involved.
Well, there's lots of other ways to earn points too. Like, for instance, they had one that was just over the border, which was repairing a fence for a farmer.
Okay.
But that was making money because pretty much he couldn't get guys to work. So they offered it to us, and then he was going to pay the branch X amount of money for us to go repairing fences. So then that brings more money back into our budget. So there was guys going and doing that, and they were getting excessive amounts of points for that because they're driving to Victoria.
Okay, yeah.
So I think that was like a 4-point weekend for them to go over and just twitch some fences. So we've got things like that. There's the servicing of the camp vehicles, because there's vehicles on the properties, because we can't drive because it's introducing different weeds and things to the paddock. So we've got different vehicles on the properties. Firewood cutting, because that's not allowed outside of season. We have to do it to their ADA guidelines. So we'll have days we cut up firewood. We'll have days where we clear like the roads around it. Just all those sort of things. They all occur different amounts of points. And then the meetings, each meeting you go to is worth a point.
And what type of thing is involved in the meetings? What's going on?
They talk about budgets. They talk about the pressure they're getting from like political and different parties about the management programs and culling programs and all the things they're trying to push, and just trying to report back to us and get our feedback in those regards.
Speaking of the culling, have you seen any of the helicopter culling or anything going on down there, or just stories from other people?
I got videos the other week. So we're out on a private block, which neighbours one of the properties from ADA called Jack's Hut. So we're on this neighbouring property, and we'd hear a chopper. So all of us pulled out our phones. We're recording. We're hidden in the scrub. They would have had no idea we were there because we're just glassing out into a big field. Flies over like a fair distance in height, comes low straight over our property, which they shouldn't have been on. Pushed all of the livestock, because there's lots of livestock in these properties, pushed them all hard up against the fences. They would have seen where our vehicles were parked on the corner of the paddock we were in. Come back around, and they were hovering directly over the tree line above us. Pushed all the stock in the next paddock across, and then we're hovering over Jack's Hut, which is an ADA block. Yeah, wow. So I recorded all of it, and that's gone back to the ADA president to see what they can deal with there, because there's no, or from what I've heard, this could be complete BS, but what I've heard is they weren't supposed to be over there till around September. But the fact that they're there and they're flying as low as they were, and you could see them curving in and out of trees, just trying to push anything in and out. And, they got open doors. Yeah. It's like, are they planning on shooting? We got no idea. We're just sitting out there in a property we know we can hunt, and there's choppers flying overhead, and what's the go?
There's lots of different stories that come out. It'll be interesting to see how things are dealt with that type of thing over the next
I can send you some of the snippets.
Years. Yeah, that'd be great if I could post them up. And I've actually past guest is doing an article on South Australian deer culling and verse management. So that should be out. I'm not sure when, but I'll be sharing that once that's out. He's chasing videos and pictures and that for that. So
I can send them all through as well. That's fine.
Yeah, sweet. It's a tough subject. It's this management versus eradication.
It really is crazy, because in 1 minute they're going, we need to ban duck hunting because it's unethical and our numbers are so low, even though with the floods they're thriving.
Yeah.
But then on the other hand, it's like, no, we need to cull the deer. It's like, well, what is it? Are we culling everything? Are we allowing things to live?
It's a hard subject because the ducks are native and the deer are introduced. So I can get where they're coming from that side of things.
But it's also sustainable.
It is, but there's a podcast episode that I recommend going back to listening to. It's a episode with Dan from Eureka Tactical. Yeah. And he dives right into the biologist side of stuff, like all the biology. And,
haven't heard him on here. I've heard him on Send It Mate.
Yeah.
And that's where we got the term edible biomass.
Yeah.
We love that one. Because it makes you wonder with the amount of culling that's happening down the southeast at the moment and the fact that our fox population is through the roof, what the impact on culling all the deer is having on that.
Yeah, it's talked about with foxes, cats, wild dogs in the high country. So,
but that's one thing that we really want to go down the rabbit hole of. We're hoping that with ADA that we can get onto the ground clear up crew when they do have the choppers there. Yeah. And I believe part of that is so that we can show what's left because they're not killing every deer. We're finding multiple deer that have been through some serious pain from it later on when you're hunting on the properties because the ground crew miss things.
Yeah.
So it's just a waste. It's a massive waste of resources, especially with we've got the price of everything's gone crazy, and taking these animals that we're paying for hunting rights for, we're feeding their families, we're feeding their friends, and it's one of the best lean meats you can eat. It
is. But yeah, it's such a difficult, hard subject. Like, I seen an Instagram post the other day. This is just my opinions on the post. Is that they've gone almost like anti-hunting tactics to try and like attack it all, and it's just so hard. Like, we need to be putting better thought and not just use like big words and like, stuff like beautiful and, they're killing these beautiful animals. It's like, that's, if we're making that argument for them killing it from a helicopter, what's not like, why won't the anti-hunters use that against us for, we're upset that they're killing them because we want to go out and kill them. Like it's such a hard.
It's a slippery slope. That's for sure.
It's a rabbit hole. We've chatted about it here. We all see it over Instagram. And it's just we need to find the right approach. I was chatting to Sam the Trapman the other day on the last episode, and he brought up a few great points. How the hunting community over there in New Zealand actually work with the government, and they've actually got a presence in the government where they can fight for this type of stuff.
It's what's needed, but like I've heard it across many different podcast platforms and things when we're not aligned on this, and it's something we need to be aligned on, because when we've got all these different parties doing their own thing, we're never going to find that clear middle ground.
Yeah, and that's the thing, because it's such a difficult subject, everyone varies on it slightly, so it's hard to stand behind that middle ground. Because there's the guys that just want, like, you chat to some people and they, I only hunt because they're introduced feral species, and the other people that, I respect these animals even though they're an introduced feral species.
Yeah,
it's just so touchy.
Yeah, it's hard to back the right horse.
Yeah, I wouldn't be who I am without deer on the landscape, and I want there to always be deer on the landscape.
We pretty well just live on venison these days.
Yeah.
It's in every meal. We're having it at least 5 nights a week. So it's like for that to go, and plus it's the cost too.
Yeah.
You're paying $13 for some crap beef mince from the shops these days, and it's half full of water. Like the mince we make, it's mince. Like we don't cut it with any other fat. We just have straight venison. That's exactly what I do.
I don't see why people need to cut it. It tastes awesome without having to cut it with other fat.
Well, depending on how you're cooking it as well. Like for instance, we eat taco and spaghetti pretty well every week, and we'll have other people around, and they wouldn't have a clue unless I said it was.
Yeah.
They're like, oh, this tastes amazing. It's like, yeah, that's venison, and yeah, it blows a lot of their minds. But now we get a few people that come around, they just expect it, and it's like, what's this? It's like, What was this made with? It's like, oh, we used beef tonight. It's like, what? Why'd you buy this? It's like,
Yeah, it definitely gets like that after a bit. But moving to lighter notes anyway, what's the funniest thing that's happened to you while you've been out?
funniest thing would definitely be Ryan trying to jump a fence when he's jumped over a timber strainer post instead of just opening the gate that was about a metre to his left or right. I don't know, whatever side. Excuse me. Yeah, it was about a metre away from him. Decided to try and jump the fence. Leg caved out, and he smashed his knee full pelt into it, and then walked with a limp for about 2 weeks. Yeah, this is when he was running in the complete opposite direction to where the deer were as well. Because he's just beelining.
So for anyone that doesn't know who Ryan is who the Sasquatch, Sassy, who we referred to. He's a former host of the Senate Mate podcast. But yeah, he's an absolute legend. Funny bloke.
Oh, I've been doing a fair bit of contract work with him, so we're having a lot of laughs on site and
I bet
all sorts of silly things. Because he's got this one saying that whenever he wants to measure something, he'll say, "Oh, just throw a tape across that." So in my brain, I just grab my tape measure off my tool belt, just throw it across whatever he said. He told me to run a tape over something the other day and I had an excavator, so I threw my crap tape measure into the dirt and ran straight over at the excavator. He's just sitting there like shaking his head. Just trying to pin him with all these silly things. Like he asked me to find him a wood blade for his recip saw. So I go to the box that's full of them. I'm like, nah, man, they're all made of metal. He's like, what do you mean? I'm like, you asked for a wood blade. They're all metal. He's like, for fuck's sake. It's like, you just have such a dry day. And I can't stand that.
A bunch of bloody clowns.
Well, work's just boring and miserable otherwise. So you got to have a laugh because otherwise everything's just dead serious and you end up getting frustrated. And it's, at least having something like perk the day up and have a bit of fun.
Oh, I'm taking the piss out of everyone and everything when I'm at work just to liven up the day.
Yeah, get through it because, it's a third of your life overall. And if you're miserable for a third of your life, then, fuck that.
Yeah, you just got to laugh and take the piss out of things and people.
Have a good time. That's probably a good segue to talk about our new venture too.
Yep, jump straight into it.
So myself and Sassy the Sasquatch, aka Ryan, are doing our own podcast. So that's Outdoors and Beyond. And we've been putting that in the pipework since around December last year. It's been documenting the process, making lots of videos and all sorts. We've got a small back catalogue at the moment. So that should be coming out in the next 4 to 6 weeks.
Yeah, awesome. So this episode will air pretty much straight away. This is Sunday night. It'll air Tuesday, so 4 to 6 weeks. Keep an eye out, and that's going to be available everywhere. Yeah,
that'll be, I believe it'll be on Spotify as well as things like Buzzsprout and everywhere else on the interwebs for your listening pleasure.
And that's your hosting site, Buzzsprout. That's who you're running with.
Yeah.
Yeah, cool. How you finding? Well, you haven't uploaded anything. Well, haven't published anything yet.
Oh, I have zero experience with that side of things. That's all been handballed to Ryan. I've been doing other crazy things like making logos and sorting out the other social side of things,
and that's something you wouldn't show me, you bastard.
Yeah,
we've been chatting about it. Well, shit, how long has this been in the works for on this podcast?
Since December.
You've been talking about it since December, and you and I have been chatting about it. I'm like, come on, because originally it was supposed to be a 3-host.
Yeah, so we've had a few hiccups along the way, and that's been documented, and
that's podcasting.
Yeah, we'll be going into depth with all of that in the first couple of episodes and whatnot. But yeah, I feel like that's just part of any venture. There's going to be hiccups along the way. I've been working away, which has kind of delayed this because when we've been trying to catch up, I've been in the middle of nowhere, and we tried doing one phone episode, and just for an early episode, the sound quality wasn't where we wanted it to be.
Yeah.
So we wanted to provide quality listening. So we've got the best gear. There was no point on devaluing it by going over a phone call, and where I was staying in Moomba, it's sketchy phone reception. So it just amplifies everything 10 times worse. So I was like, nah, I'm going to wait till I'm home. So.
And what's the general gist of the podcast? Like what's the running time going to be? What it's kind of covered it in the title, but what's it going to be about?
So specifically it's outdoors and beyond.
Yeah.
Beyond is the aspect of using the outdoors and your activities to either promote positive mental health or to deal with your mental health issues, because it's much of a taboo subject these days. There's plenty of blokes out there that have got mental health issues or have had them, and they battle they battle by themselves. So it's more just about to bring light to it and try and put a positive spin on sorting out your mental health and enjoying the outdoors with your mates.
And both you and Ryan Sassy are absolute clowns, so I'm sure it's going to be an absolute laugh.
Oh, our first few episodes, we've gone down a lot of the wrong rabbit holes because at least, with your podcast, you seem to keep it on a well tight ship. But when you've got myself and Ryan on the mics, we just bounce left, right, and centre down all these rabbit holes, and before you know it, you're in a Warren 5Ks away. So, but provide some good laughs, and yeah, we go down on plenty of different strange topics and ramble about politics and
yeah, after your first couple episodes, I'm sure I'll get you and Ryan both on so we can promote it a little bit more and bump up that listener group, and just so everyone gets a decent rundown of what you two are like together.
Yeah, we'd appreciate that.
Are you doing guests? Are you...
Yeah, we want to go into guests down the track. We just want to... So we've got our mate that was going to come on originally as a host, so we're going to get him on, get him to tell his story, because it feels like it's like paying homage to him because he was a part of the early days, and then, circumstances have changed, he can't be a part of it. So we're he's going to be our first guest. And then from there, we've got a fair big list of guests that we want to get on.
Are you just doing in-person guests, or are you going to do like Zoom, Teams?
This point, we'd prefer in person because, as we did have with the experience with my phone calls, they weren't great, but it could have a big factor on that being the bad reception. So we need to test and play with that and find out what we can do to up the quality a bit, because that's the main thing. We wanted to put out good quality listening.
No, that's awesome. And is it audio and video?
We've been videoing most of the early days, like actually making of the podcast, because that's the bit that's usually not shown because it's just rough and scratchy and sketchy and all sorts of weird malfunctions and trying to learn to use the Rodecaster and all of these different things. But we've videoed a lot of that, so we're just going to put some raw, unedited stuff on YouTube and try and put that out there so everyone else can have a laugh at us and go like, what are these idiots doing? But
yeah, beautiful.
It's all part of it because it's to show that, a lot of them they're very polished. We want to be as unedited and raw as possible to show. That's
what I try and do with this, and the more I do it, the less edited it is. So, I might stuff up a word or something that, like at the start, I sound like a bit of an idiot here, mispronouncing this, or,
Yeah, that's just part of the
doubling back. I used to edit that stuff out, and now I just, go much more with the flow.
Yeah, just roll with it. It gives us something to roast you with online too. So
exactly. Cody with his memes. He's just started.
They're beautiful.
He's just started the what is it? Australian podcasting memes.
The season 7 memes for Senate, mate, were quite funny.
Oh, I lost it.
That was beautiful. If you haven't seen that, you gotta jump online and find that.
What's Cody's new meme page? Cody's big game shit posting. It was freaking hilarious. But yeah, that first one where he's talking about how the Senate mate need to start picking their guests. Absolute lost it. Do you want another one?
Oh, I'd love another. We're on the Mercury Hards tonight.
Yep. Shit.
Crushed raspberries.
Caleb was drinking it on their last episode of Senate Mate. So, that's mainly what I drink. I get some shit for drinking them, but I think they go down well.
Well, I discovered Solo make...
The hard crush one, yeah.
That's great. That's dangerous, though. It just tastes like regular Solo.
Yeah, no. I reckon I'd get pretty off the face. At least these I can, because they're 2.4 standard drinks a can. They're pretty brutal.
Yeah, but they go down quite nice.
They do. But if you listen to the episodes around when I went and shot my red stag, I pulled up rough trying to drink a can for can with it, a drink for drink with Hainsey and the boys. And I got pretty written off that weekend.
Yeah, that's my weekend with Hainsey. Oh, we had Mel Hunts as well that weekend. But yeah, me and Hainsey went through 5 cartons that weekend and probably did about 75 Ks on foot.
That's brutal.
It was a good weekend. Put in plenty of skill. And then, my insulin pump ended up having issues by the end of that. And then by the Tuesday morning, I was in hospital. So that was fun. So he's killed 2 people out there. It's been pretty rough out there. So if you want to jump in with it or not, with being a diabetic and going out, what type of, apart from just the insulin pump and, some lollies to keep the blood sugar up, what else are you doing
while you're going out in the field?
Well, I've got to watch. So doing physical exercise naturally lowers your blood sugar. So I've got to keep an eye on that. And then it's kind of a bit of a walking science experiment to keep all those things in check. But it's not really that great. Like I've had diabetes since 2020 now. So it's been a couple of years. Like I've kind of learned the way my body works with it. But it's more just taking spare supplies and manual needles. That was my issue on that trip. I pretty much had the cannula had just heated and cooled and done all sorts of weird stuff, closed over. It wasn't injecting anything. So now it's making sure that I carry spare supplies and also manual injections in case the electronic side of things stuffs up.
And you have to keep them cold, don't you, as well?
Oh, look, it says you're supposed to, but I've had some insulin pens that live in the door of my ute.
Okay.
And I've used them when I've needed them as like a backup.
So if you went and done a backpack hunt and you just chucked them in the back here,
that'd be fine.
That'd be fine, yeah.
But you can get these cool pouches you can put them in like that are specifically designed for it. And they make these like electronic battery. It's pretty much a mini fridge you can put your insulin pen in.
And what struggles have you had to overcome with going out into the field with that? Because the years leading up to the diagnosis, you had some rough...
Well, I pretty much got diagnosed the very start of 2020, well, middle of 2020, and that was as I was getting into the shooting side of things. So I only really target shooting, but I would notice my blood sugar could crash from walking from Josh's house when he had it in Cherryville, like 250 meters up the hills to go shooting, and I could just completely crash in that time. So I was just trying to learn because like my body was still somewhat working, but then I had the pump doing its thing, and it was just overlapping. But now that my pancreas has completely stopped, it's a lot easier to manage because it doesn't have these random spur of the moment hits.
Yeah.
But the worst I've had out hunting was when myself, Josh, and Couchy ended up shooting our 3 bucks. We were carrying them out on branches. We hadn't had breakfast. It was about 10:30, nearly 11 o'clock by the time we were packing them out. And I was crashing. Like, I needed to eat something. And we got almost the whole way back with Couchy's deer. And I'm like, I got to put it down. He's like, no, we're close. I'm like, I'm going to pass out. He's like, what do you mean? And I'm like, I was starting to lose my shit because your brain just starts, like, it pretty much stops functioning. You're going, like, fight or flight.
Yeah.
And I'm like starting to lose my shit. So we put it down, pick it up, pretty much like give me a couple of seconds to like get myself together, get it over to the car. I get there and I'm like just fiendish through my pack looking for anything I can just demolish. And then luckily Steve had cans of Coke in his car as well. So I ended up having a lot of sugar.
Yeah.
But I needed that because we still had 2 more deer to get out. So got the sugar back up, got straight back into it. Yeah, 5-10 minutes later, it's like I'm a different person.
Yeah, so it doesn't take long for it to the sugar to kick over.
Yeah, it just depends on the amount because if you have it's easy for a medical professional to say, oh, you can only have 15 grams of sugar.
Yeah.
When you get into that like the fight or flight mode, your brain doesn't care about 15 grams of sugar. It doesn't care about having to deal with the rebound. It's like it wants it. Like there's been times where I'll buy like a whole bag of lollies. I'll demolish like 140 grams of sugar because it's just like you feel like you're gonna die. It's not a great feeling.
Oh, I bet.
But yeah, you just get that fiendish, and then you start to go up, and then you can fix it after that point. And it's like I'd rather fix that than just go roll over in a ditch somewhere and have to have other people deal with me because that's when they take your license away.
Yeah, yeah. So, I think it's good to put it out there and talk about it just in case someone's listening that has just been diagnosed with diabetes. It's getting more and more common these days. So people. Just say someone's going through it, they know what to expect and they can, manage it and don't have to learn from your fails.
Well, funnily enough, I got banned from a Facebook diabetes group that I was in because it was telling us about what our limitations were with all these sort of outdoors things.
Yeah.
And then the last deer that I shot a couple months ago, I was packing that out up a hill, probably like 1.5 k's back to my ute. And I pulled my phone out in my pocket with like 55, 60 kilo animal on my back.
Yeah.
And I've held it in like selfie style and made a video and I'm like, tell all the people out there that think diabetics can't do fuck all. This is a deer I just shot that I'm carrying out up the hill. And I put that up on a page and now I'm banned and had my membership refunded and all sorts. So this independent diabetes group no longer helps me out.
Was that just because the dead animal aspect?
I don't know if it was the dead animal or the fact that I said anyone that doubts diabetics can get fucked because it was in a direct comment response to a post where they were telling us what our limitations were. And the thing is, it's minimal. You are your own limitation. You really have to know how you work with things. But once you know what your limitations in quotation very loosely are, you can pretty much do anything. Like I'm planning bigger hunts and whatnot, and I'm not concerned about them. The earlier days were a little more concerning, but now I've done all sorts of different things, and I know what my limitations are, which aren't much.
So how are you going to cope with those bigger hunts, say like New Zealand that you were talking to me about before we started the podcast? How will you cope with that, and what will you do to...
Well, I've thought about taking an EPIRB just as like an absolute worst case.
Well, you need to take one no matter what, whether you're diabetic or not. I'd suggest taking one.
Well, that's a big one on my list because it's like, having medevac was big.
I got the Garmin InReach Mini there, and that's an EPIRB, and you can text message from it through your phone. Suggest getting something along those lines.
Message the missus.
Yeah, well, that's...
Send pics of Bob's and Virgin.
You can't receive pictures on these yet. Technology's not up to that yet. But
that's disappointing. Up your game going.
Are you iPhone or Android?
iPhone.
iPhone. So iPhone have just enabled almost an EPIRB style setting in the settings, so your phone's an EPIRB whether you've got signal or not.
Yeah, right.
As well. So look into that. Anyone that hasn't looked into that, look into it. I haven't looked into it because I carry an EPIRB, plus I've got the InReach as well. So
yeah, I didn't realise that was the thing. I'll definitely have to look into that.
Yeah, it's only new within the last 6 to 7 months ish.
Yeah.
So it's good for people to know.
Other than that, just taking excess insulin and supplies, because my biggest issue I find these days is like my cannula sites have to change out regularly.
Okay.
And when I get hot and sweaty, they come unstuck.
Yeah.
And before I got a little pump belt on now. Like most people see me, and if I bend over, they just see this random bit of like purple and grey camo, and at a quick glance, it looks like I'm wearing a G banger. So that's quite funny when people ask about my G, and it's like, yeah, it's my insulin G.
Well, you wear one as well as wearing the belt.
That one's hidden. Like, I can't show off the bright pink one to everyone else, but no, now that I've got the pump belt, it doesn't happen as much. But my actual cannula hose used to get caught on everything in my pocket.
Yeah.
So now that I've got that on the belt and it's hidden under my jumper and my shirt, it doesn't really get caught on anything. But that was a big thing because it get caught on sticks, rifle, all those sort of different things. So yeah, after getting the pump belt, that's
how does it go with
issues.
like the waist belt of a hunting pack when you got it on?
Well, because it is just a belt, you can just swing it around one way, left or right, or whatnot. But I usually pull it up higher. Yeah. And then put my belt for my waistband like underneath it.
Yeah. So that's sitting on the waistband. Okay. Yeah. Is it fairly uncomfortable for doing something like that, and it's just something that you have to put up with, or you don't notice it?
I only notice it if I put a cannula sight in too low so that my waistband rubs on that, and then that's another way they come out. But quite often, you're out hunting, you got multiple layers on, so by the time I got my undershirt on, it kind of just gives me that second skin and holds everything in, so it's not much of a concern. But more often than not, I set them high because it doesn't rub with seat belts and all sorts of other things either.
Okay.
So it's just more of a general.
So you'll need to take like a little bit more out with you, like insulin, the different the patches that you were saying, cannula patches and stuff like that. Yeah, but that's all pretty lightweight, so you can tuck it in.
They weigh next to nothing. And then the thing is, depending on where you're having fires and whatnot, most of it's still just paper anyways. You just burn all the different bits and pieces. So as you use it, it'll get lighter. So you're not carrying much. Little sharps container, like the whole lot would weigh a couple 100 grams.
Okay, yeah.
So it's negligible. Like I'm a giant. I don't really notice that. I've been lugging around an 8 kilo rifle the last 3-4 years.
You will over there when it comes to the elevation, it hits you so hard.
Look, I drink Murray River water. I'll be fine.
That will make you far from fine.
Well, I feel like I'm growing a third arm and a fourth leg, so
I thought you had that to start off with.
No, that's just 3 legs.
So, what are your top 5 dream animals?
Dream animals? Well, I've always wanted a tahr, so I was, pretty envious when I saw yours earlier this year. But tahr, chamois, wolf, moose. And then, look, some people find it a bit, unethical, but I wouldn't mind one of the big 5 from Africa. But obviously, can't bring any of them back. But, just going on an African safari, Steve and Richard have got plenty of contacts for doing that. So that's definitely something on the list. But I haven't got a specific African game that I would want to take.
What about with your moose? What do you have like particular country or state that you want to take it in, or
No idea. It's just always been like, playing video games and whatnot. And then seeing some of the crazy ones you see on Instagram on the different hunting pages. It's given that goal, but it's not there yet because I'm currently putting a lot of my money into my business.
Yeah.
So it's like trying to set myself up as well because we're planning for another kid. So that's again another big step. So we're going through that at the moment. So the hunting's it's not getting put on the back burner, but the bigger trips they'll be like spread out over time.
Yeah, that's what it is here. So that's just part of having kids and being married.
Because obviously I want my 6 Australian deer because who doesn't want the Grand Slam? But
what are you at with the?
I've completed fallow.
Fallow?
So I'm good for fallow. And then, I've got a few connections for some nice sambar. Yep. And then, trying to get out now at the moment for some red.
Yeah, beautiful.
And then, obviously the hog deer ballot's just open. So I'll be putting in for that. And then,
Have you put in for it yet? Or
not yet. I've got plenty of time. It's open till end of October, isn't it?
As soon as I seen it, I'll put in for it. So
yeah, I was looking at it, I'm like, I should really get my computer out. Pull my computer out, and it's flat. And I'm like, oh, where's the charger?
Just do it on your phone.
No, I don't like doing that stuff on my phone. Well, no, because some of those pages, like, they're pretty bricks and mortar. They're not very solid.
I got a hog deer tag out of it last year.
I like my laptop for that sort of stuff. It's just a bit easier to move around on. Like, call me old fashioned, even though about 8 years you're younger.
5. I've only just turned 30, buddy.
Oh, okay.
Jeez, easy up.
Stab in the chest.
But yeah, for those that don't know, the hog deer ballot's now opened up for 2024. So
when you fill out your details, put down Hayden Mondell for a Murray Bridge, and just make sure the tag comes to me. Thanks, appreciate that.
I think there's a few people that are pretty keen on it for next year's draw. I know old mate Cody's pretty keen on it. He was pretty sour and dirty on me for drawing it this year.
Well, it's going to sound bad, but I'm pretty sure my missus already put in for one. So, because I mentioned to her while I was driving the other day and she was doing something on her phone. So I think she's already got one, but I haven't even done mine yet. So yeah, if she gets hers, she doesn't even have a firearms license or rifle. So I'll have to be her little side bitch to carry all that stuff. But yeah, that'll be... Yeah,
if she draws it before you, you'll be gutted.
Yeah, look, I would, but I wouldn't be because it'd be a great opportunity for her and she'll see some like the hard effort you put in. Because like she's seen some of our hunts where I've walked out, sat down, there's been a deer in 5 minutes, shot it, gutted it, we're back and it's still daylight for 2 hours. So she's seen some of the easy hunts, she's seen some of the ones where we've done 15, 20 Ks in the morning. And then, obviously, if we're hunting hog, it's just different bucket of cum.
Oh, it is. It's insane. It was hard. Like, there was more effort that went into organising that hog deer hunt than it was for organising the New Zealand hunt.
Yeah, but you wouldn't have done that without me wiring your spotties because you wouldn't have been able to drive down there. So, it was me for the assist.
Yeah, definitely assist. Yeah, those fuckers kept on burning out beforehand. Heading down to the southeast, they stopped working.
Multiple sets of King's lights through one wiring system, all of it burnt out.
Not King's lights. The lights aren't
no,
King's,
but the wiring was.
Yeah. So, what about wolf? Any particular state or anything with that, or any particular method? Rifle, bow?
Probably rifle. I'm more of a rifle hunter than a bow hunter. I tried for a while before I got my guns. And yeah, it's satisfying when you hit that target, but when you watch a $35 carbon arrow just smash into a rock and shatter and just also destroy the point and everything else, it's like, and it's like, oh, I bought a brick of 22 for $50 and now I got 500 rounds I can shoot at shooting. It's like, it was an easy step because, yeah, look, I reckon hunting with a rifle is a hell of a lot easier than with a bow, and obviously it also limits you for your distances as well. But I've got a good mate who's got Samba property for only bows.
Yeah,
so he's like, as long as you can shoot 20 meters, you'll be fine. Because he said that's about the furthest he's had to shoot.
Yeah,
because they're right. He just sits in a spot. They come past. He knows where they are. He puts so many hours into getting his properties, and yeah, now he's got good spots. So
yeah, beautiful.
That will be on the card soon. That'll be pretty satisfying. That'll be my first big game bow kill. So that'll be a dream.
What about the African Big Five? If you flip for it, what would it come down to? What would your top one out of those African 5 be?
I don't know. It's like
anything, no judgment.
It feels so taboo because there's so many people that go against it. But if you look into the amount of money it actually puts back and the fact that they would have been hunted to extinction without the programs, I don't know, an elephant would be pretty cool.
Yeah. Yeah, I have to admit, I just recently got back from Phuket, Thailand, and, we went to the elephant tour and, we had to rub mud all over them, get them all dirty, and then go swim and wash them all off. And I'm just like, where would, their skin's pretty thick. I'm like, where would my arrow go? Where would I have to...
Oh, it's like that short, it's either a TikTok or a reel, but there's obviously deer at this place and they're all used to being touched and patted and stuff.
Yeah,
this guy just
like
walks up to it. Yeah, just
like, where's my shot
it, the kill spot. It's like, oh, who isn't thinking that when you're looking at it though? It's like, oh.
Yeah, like feeling the skin on an elephant, it's pretty, it's pretty hectic.
We did the same thing in Cambodia. Like, didn't get them muddy, but yeah, you'd feed it a pineapple and climb on it and then go for like a massive safari tour on it. And that was
we didn't ride them. We just muddied them up and took them for a bath. But yeah, they're a huge animal, and then they're smaller compared to the African elephants. So you can only imagine how crazy they are. Yeah,
made in Asia.
pretty much. But yeah, it did cross my mind. I'm like, I wonder how well these taste.
Well, look, they seem to eat them, and I suppose it's like a lot of things. It depends how you cook it and how the meat is, because there's some people that think that venison's horrible. It's like, well, it depends how you cook it. But croc's the same. Like, you can get a nice piece of croc meat, you overcook it, and it's just like a combination. It's like the texture of beef, but the taste of chicken. Yeah, but it's like a nice piece of beef. Like, you burn a good steak, and it's going to be a crap steak. You can buy a $200 piece of meat, and it's going to taste like crap.
Yeah, no, crocs are not too bad from what I've had anyway. So
I've eaten some crazy ones. Well, not too crazy, but like different. I've eaten emu, snake, croc.
Yeah.
What else? Wombat, wallaby. Like, we had a Indigenous group come in when we were at school, and they brought in all this different food, and all these people, like all the kids in the class, just sitting there going, "Oh, this is disgusting." But I grew up camping and doing all sorts of weird stuff like that anyway. So it's like, oh yeah, you got to try it, see what it's like. And then like, I didn't have one that was bad, but they put them in the easiest way to eat any different new meat, and they made sausages out of all of it. Because I feel like that's the least.
And they would have cut it with pork more than likely anyway, probably, or chicken or whatever.
Yeah, something that Westerner people be happy with. But
yeah, I killed and cooked a rattlesnake while I was in Mexico, and they're definitely interesting eating. Like, I wouldn't not eat it.
Did you keep the rattle?
No, unfortunately. I wish I did. I wish I scun it and tanned the skin, but
because I never thought much about that being like a trophy off of one. But then I was, it might sound a bit soy boy, but I was watching Yellowstone. He pulls out the box that's got the rattle in it, and I'm like, that's a fucking awesome idea. Like,
cool skin, man. Cool.
Yeah.
Like, we cut off the head straight away. But what was really good is those American bullfrogs.
Yep.
They are so good eating. Like, they were really, really good.
Oh, we ate all that weird stuff in Cambodia. Like, you'd be on the side of the road, and for like $1, you'd get a 2 or 3 kilo bag of fried crickets, and they taste like barbecue chips. Which everyone's gonna be like, "That's disgusting." It's like, they do. They taste like barbecue chips. But then same deal. Like, you drive a few k's down the road because you're not going very fast because the roads there aren't like a sealed highway there.
Yeah.
They've got cars swallowing holes left, right, and centre. But yeah, you pull over at the next one of these random little rinky-dink cooking on the side of the road, and you'd see all these frogs that had been fried. I was like, oh yeah, I'll try a frog. They're amazing.
Yeah. Speaking of foods, what's your favourite thing to cook with hunted food?
Well, I reckon the best meal I cook with my venison would be my Tuscan venison meatballs.
Okay.
I haven't had anyone come around that I've made that for that's complained, but I won't ever tell them that it's venison until they've eaten it, because you get people that, oh, what are you cooking for dinner? And you tell them like, oh, I'm doing venison. They'll just, oh, nah, actually, like, they'll make up some sort of excuse, or they'll put up a fuss, and it's like, nah, I'm just going to cook it for you. You'll think it's beef. You'll have an absolute great time.
And then you tell them
afterwards. And then you tell them, and then they're gobsmacked. Yeah. And it's like, I've shot this, I gutted it, dressed it, I did everything with it, processed it. This is like, it's not going to get any more real than this.
Yeah, I do that a bit. I don't tell people what it is. I had a ex-girlfriend I cooked a bunch of samba for, and yeah, she's like, what is it? I'm like, it's goat. She was fine eating goat. And then afterwards, she's like, that was really good. She's like, but it wasn't goat, was it? I'm like, nope. She's like, it was deer, wasn't it? I'm like, yep. And she just burst into tears.
It's such a weird thing because I've had a bit of backlash from some people on my Facebook about because I put videos up of a great kill shot I had last year. And yeah, that pissed off a few people. And then my first question is always, do you eat meat? Knowing full well these people do. And it's like, yeah, but it's not the same thing. And I'm like, well, you realise that it's wild.
It's better.
And it's not injected with a bunch of anything from the shops. You get it home, and if I were to freeze it and then defrost it, it's not going to lose half a litre of water coming out of it. It's in like the truest form you can get it.
Yeah, people don't understand that far removed from their food.
Yeah. And then there's some of the guys we hunt with even that I make use of everything. Like it's pretty much just the offal that goes, and then everything I take. Like the whole carcass comes home with me. I cut that up because I got 2 dogs. I got a Kelpie and I got a border collie, and they eat all of it.
Yeah. So, see, I eat heart, liver, kidneys. I make bone broth from the leg bones and stuff like that. I cook the ribs up, so everything gets pretty much used.
Everything. And then I've been tanning my own skins now as well.
Yeah,
so
awesome.
Getting into that because I was finding, there's not a heap of places that can do it, or you're waiting for a fair turnaround for it. And the volume I'm getting them in now too, it's like, well, I might as well give it a go. Because
how are they turning up?
The first one I did was pretty good, and I got a couple more that I'm in the process of at the moment.
I'll have to drop you some fox hides off after this weekend to get done. I don't have a fox hide. I got a shrunken fox head and fox tail, but I don't have a hide in here yet. So,
funnily enough, I did skin that fox that was hanging in the tree. I have that wasn't just getting a veterinarian checkup, as I commented. But I fully skinned that out, and that's on my list of things to do this week. So
cool.
Let's see how that one comes out.
You have to tag us in the photos of how it comes out. I'm keen to see.
I'll tag you if it comes out good. If it doesn't come out good and there's no post, you'll know that it didn't come out good. But no, there'll be plenty more foxes in the near future, so I'll have more opportunity. But it's also about the skinning experience too, because I feel like every time I've skinned another animal, I've gotten a lot quicker.
Yeah.
Like the first one I did probably took me about 3 hours, and now I'm getting down to like half hour, but there's nothing on them. Tails coming out complete. It's getting there.
That's good. Speaking of public views, how do you see the public views on hunting?
Well, from the people that I surround myself by, it's good because I've culled out most of the people that don't support it because it's just sick of dealing with the same issues. Yeah. But I feel like in these, like through pandemic times and things, a lot more people were opening their eyes to it.
Yeah.
And then even with changes, not in laws about hunting, but with Victoria changing the laws and being able to grow your own produce in your house, I feel like that put people a bit on their back foot.
Yeah.
And they're a bit more like, well, where's it going to end? Because if I can't even grow my own vegetables at my house, like where's the end goal? And I think that's kind of changed a few people's opinions on it. And I think it's
I think those ones were a bit misconstrued. Same with the sharing game meat type thing. I think a bunch of it was misconstrued, but there is that intention from some of these politicians.
Oh, like some of them, 15-minute cities, you'll own nothing, you'll be happy. Yeah. So I can't see me conforming to that, and I can't see any of the rest of us.
I'm not one to conform, so
it's not going to happen. So yeah, there's some people that they're hard against it. They're green vegans that they want to drive their electric cars, but as an electrician myself that's worked in heavy industrial work, how do you think all these electric cars are getting charged? And as much as they want to say it's all solar, well, it's just been a part of one of the biggest gas plant builds. And that's all to backfeed the grid with byproduct gas from the plant to feed the grids. Yeah. So it's, well, as much as you want to say, yeah, it's all clean green energy, it's not. It's still coming from your fossil fuels and gas. So it's, it's still like, it's a bait and switch. Like, that's easy way of putting it.
And then solar panel life and then windmill life. And
then it's the amount of mining that goes into the resources to make the electric vehicles and the lithium, and then you got limitations with recycling lithium and the fire hazard that comes from them. Like for instance, the new CFS trucks that they're getting more electric over them, and it's like, well, electric, fire, and water
don't mix.
Yeah, it's a bit questionable, but hey, look, we'll see how they go because they could have some new beauty technology that we haven't heard about. That's like all hush hush or something. You never know.
We'll see.
But yeah, it's exactly. Well, you just got to let it play out and see how it goes.
So how would you change the public views on hunting and hunters?
Well, it'd be nice if it comes back to the more broad look on firearms themselves.
Yeah.
Like, you know, a lot of people have a negative stigma about guns because they're so dangerous. It's like, well, if you lean a broom up against the wall, is it going to mop the floor? Like, it's going to sweep the floor?
Yeah.
No, it's not. If you put a gun up against the wall, is it going to go on a mass shooting? No, it's not. So it's like, well, guns aren't scary. It's just the introduction to them needs to be done properly with more like open opinions about it.
100%.
Like, for instance, in other states, like, you have shooting as a school sport. Like, for instance, one of our other guys we shoot with, Jacob, he used to be able to do that at school.
Yeah.
And it's like, that's, it's giving you that pathway. But then it was recently, I can't remember his name or where he went, but there was a post done by a school about one of their students winning a competition.
Yeah, I think that was Victoria. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's like, it's good to see that because, most places wouldn't post that because, guns are scary and dangerous. And it's like, but in the exact opposite light, it's, you've got a student that's got access to firearms, using them like the rest of us law-abiding citizens for the right reasons. And it's like, why can't we celebrate that? Why is it so taboo? So it comes back more to firearms first than it does to hunting, because at the end of the day, if they want to ban hunting, they're gonna come for guns first.
Yeah, exactly. And last of all, what is hunting to you?
I don't know. It's so many things, but like I touched on before about our podcast, it's a good way of like just having clarity, like clear mental health. Like it's good to be out in nature, away from electronics, just back to raw Mother Nature. And when I shot my first deer, I had that many different emotions run through me. It's not funny, and it was at a quite deep time in my life too. And it was like I just needed it. I needed to be back to like raw nature. Yeah. And it's like, I did take an animal's life. It's a pest to the farm that we shot it on. But then I've got myself meat for half a year. Yeah. So it's just so many good things. And like I was saying before, it's not like you go to a shop and just buy a meat and you're so disconnected from your food. And then it's injected with a bunch of water and stuff to make the weights up or change the colour of it, or it is what it is. Like, it's what you've got and what you've shot and how you process it is exactly the outcome of what you get.
Yeah, exactly. You've worded that well. So if people have enjoyed what they've listened to, where can they find you and where can they find this podcast that's in the works with Sassy?
So my Instagram is HeyDJ98, so HAYDJ98, because I'm a child. So that's, born and bred 98. That's on Instagram. And our podcast will be Outdoors and Beyond. We haven't got any of our socials live. I've made them, but they're not live yet.
Hurry up and get them live.
Yeah, it'll still be a few weeks. I'll probably have them live in the next 2 weeks, and then we'll be posting in 4 to 6.
Get them live in the next week so people hear this podcast and they can head over to the page.
All right.
Come on, just do it.
I might even put a teaser after the logo just for you to tag in.
Yeah, do it. Beautiful. Anyway, man, I appreciate you coming on. It's been in the works for a while, and it's the first in-guest podcast I've had in a while as well. So
look, we've been going back and forth for a while, but me working away has kind of made it hard. So I'm just glad to be here.
Snake Island and New Zealand got in the way.
Jealous.
Not to rub it in or anything.
Oh, I felt that big.
Anyway, man, I appreciate you coming on, and looking forward to hearing the podcast with you and Sassy, and I'm keen to get you two on together so people can hear what you two are like together and promote the hell out of it.
Likewise, we'll get you on and get your swing on our questions and drill you with a few bits and pieces and hopefully have a good laugh.
Oh, I'm keen. That would be definitely a laugh. Anyway, man, thanks for coming on and have a good night.
Cheers. Thanks for having me.
Thank you for joining us on another episode of Hunting Connection Podcast. We hope you've enjoyed our discussions and gained valuable insights into the world of hunting, fishing, and the outdoors. To stay connected with us and never miss out on an update, please be sure to follow us on social media, all at Hunting Connection Podcast. We appreciate your support and would love for you to share the podcast with your friends and family. Don't forget to tag us in your hunting photos on social media and let us know about your experiences. Your feedback is invaluable to us, so please take a moment to subscribe, rate, and review the podcast. Together, we continue growing and delivering more captivating episodes for all hunting enthusiasts. Stay connected, stay informed, and keep pursuing your passion for the hunt. Until next time, happy hunting.